Now, a second possible attack is an offline brute force attack. So in this attack, our goal is not to be a man in the middle, but instead to try and learn the Wi-Fi password. So this attack is from somebody who isn't part of the network, but their goal is to become part of the network by learning the Wi-Fi password. So this is like if you're somewhere outside and you see an encrypted Wi-Fi network and you want to join it, but you don't know the password. This could be something you could do to try and join the network without knowing the password. So first of all, we should say why it's called offline. And remember, there's a subtle difference between offline and online attacks. So we could first consider an online brute force attack. What would the online brute force attack look like? You would click on the Wi-Fi network. It would prompt you for a password. You would type in the password, and it would be either correct or incorrect. And then you would try again, do another authentication request, and do another handshake with another attempted password. And if it's wrong, the handshake will fail. And then you try again with another password that you type in. The computer does another handshake, and if the password is wrong, it fails again. And eventually, the access point gets tired of you and locks you out or hits you with a timeout. That's what the online brute force attack would look like. You would be repeating this handshake every single time, and the access point would eventually get tired of you and hit you with a timeout. So that is a possible attack, but it's not so effective. You'll get stopped by the access point once the access point notices that you're trying to do dozens of handshakes with wrong passwords. The offline brute force attack is different from what we just talked about, and it's a lot more effective. So remember, in an offline brute force attack, you don't have to keep asking the access point if your guess is correct. You can take some information, go to a cabin in the woods, and do the attack yourself without relying on the access point's help. So here's how you might do it. As an attacker, if you're somehow able to write down this entire handshake, so you can write down the 2 nonce values that were used, the 2 MAC codes that were generated, you could take those 4 values and go run off to your cabin in the woods and do an offline brute force attack all by yourself without talking to the access point. And the attack looks something like this. As the attacker in your little cabin without any sort of access point involvement, you guess a Wi-Fi password. Is it correct? Probably not, but you'll take your guess and generate an attempted blue key. Is that the correct blue key? Probably not, but we keep going. We take that key in blue. We take the nonces that you wrote down from observing this handshake and the MAC addresses that you observed from this handshake, and you derive a guessed PTK in purple. Is that correct? Probably not, because you did it using a guessed Wi-Fi password. But we have a guess, and how do we check that the guess is correct? We use this PTK to generate MACs, and we see if the MACs that we generated with this PTK match the MACs that we wrote down. And if they don't match, it means our password guess was wrong. We were not able to reproduce the MACs that were produced in this legitimate handshake. So if it doesn't work, then we just go back to step 1, try a different Wi-Fi password, regenerate another attempted blue key, still probably wrong, use that and the nonces we wrote down to generate a purple PTK guess, also probably wrong, and then use that purple PTK to generate MACs, see if they match the ones we saw sent across the channel. If they don't match, we guessed wrong again, and when they do match, that's how you know you found the correct Wi-Fi password, because you picked a password and did the whole derivation and the resulting MACs matched. That's how you know if your guess was correct. And notice that this entire offline brute force attack did not require talking to the access point at all. The only thing you had to do was write down one of these handshakes that you observe, say as an on-path attacker, and once you have those values, you can run off to your cabin in the woods. You don't need to be connected to anybody else, and you can run all of this computation offline by yourself, and there's nobody to rate limit you or hit you with the timeout. That's why the offline brute force attack is so effective. Nobody can time you out. You can try as much as you want. And if the Wi-Fi password is bad, doesn't have a lot of entropy, then this could be a plausible attack. For for someone to learn the Wi-Fi password without knowing it.